one of the features, I think, in working with children who have a trauma history is how you can get pulled. It can feel like you get pulled into playing certain sorts of parts, which you haven't kind of consciously agreed to, of course, in a way. This is something that children need to do. We say that the children bring their environment that lives within them wherever they go. And this is their internal environment, their internal world, and the relationships in it are peopled with, unpredictable, unreliable, and ambivalent, all sorts of different attachment figures, and they in their movement towards cure and towards integration, they will obviously see those looking after them in a variety of ways, sometimes with very rapid transition from one moment to the next. So you could, begin an afternoon with a child who's treating you almost as if you are their rescuer, and that can very quickly turn into you being seen as their persecutor, and then all sorts of projections of that order can happen, and very, very fast and very powerfully, for reasons we've said before. These are urgent needs being expressed, and they are being expressed in the child's journey towards trying to, in a sense, test out an environment to see whether it's strong enough to withstand, their worst feelings about themselves, in a way, So from the worker's point of view, this is very, very difficult, and this is happening kind of all day long, rapid change of roles that you feel you're being pulled into playing, with all the attendant feelings that come with that. And so at some point in that day, they may have a scheduled meeting with me, and they're in walking from the house to my room. I imagined that they were thinking that they were going into another role situation of meeting with the psych man, which was going to bring up all sorts of other feelings for them. So I felt a very important part of my work there was really to help them de-role, in a sense, and I did that in a kind, not by talking about that, but by connecting with them in the way that I would when we de-role after a role play exercise, in a demonstration or in a therapy moment. In a sense, I was genuine. This wasn't a technique. I mean, I was genuinely interested in them as people, and and really, in a sense, I was very interested in how they were managing their days, how they grounded themselves, how they coped with the kind of pressures that were on them, and so on. So I would try to, remember things about them, ask questions about what I knew them to be interested in, and remember them from previous conversations and so on. And in my mind, this was part of this process, really, of getting back into themselves in order to do what I think is the essence of this work. And I think this is, I'm talking here the contemplative traditions going back thousands of years, and Winnicott right up to polyvagal theory now, that the essential task, really, when it comes down to it, is presence.